great friend of working people, not just here in Nevada, but all across the country. Your Senator Harry Reid is in the house. It's good to see all of you. Let me just point out, every time I come here, the weather's really good. Pretty good deal here. It is beautiful, and as we were flying in, we flew over Tahoe. You know, I'd like to pretend that there's, you know, big campaign event there. I can't really pretend that that's the case. But it's interesting. It's great to be at Truckee Meadows. What students are doing here every single day.
Oh, it's amazing.
Your education is the single most important investment you can make in your future. It is true for every single student here. It's true whether you are talking about a community college or whether you're talking about a four-year college or university. And I'm proud of all of you who are doing what it takes to make that investment. Not just the money, but also the long hours in the library. At least I hope you're spending some long hours in the library. And in the lab and in the classroom, because it's never been more important. But the degree students earn from this college is the surest path you will have to a good job and to higher earnings. It's the best tool that you've got to achieve that basic American promise. That simple idea that if you work hard in this country, you will be rewarded. It says if you work hard, if you're willing to put in the effort, then you can do well enough to raise a family. You can own your home. You can put a little away for retirement. You won't have to worry about being bankrupt if you get sick. Maybe you can take a vacation once in a while. And most importantly, you know that you'll be able to pass on to your kids more opportunities and the possibility that they can do things that you couldn't even dream of. That's what America's all about. Opportunities are open to everybody. That's the reason I ran for president. That's what my presidency has been about. That's why I'm running for a second term. Your education is not just important to you, it's important to America's success. When we invest in your future, we're investing in America's future. The fact is that countries that out-educate us today, they'll out-compete us tomorrow. We cannot afford to lose that race to make sure we've got the most highly educated, most skilled workforce in the world. Are looking to locate, that's what they're looking for, and I don't want them looking any farther than Reno, Nevada. The United States of America, we've got the best workers in the world, and I want to keep it that way. And your education is getting more important. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. More than half of the new jobs over the next decade will require some form of higher education. And I don't think it's also any news to you that higher education is getting harder and harder to afford. It is tough for a lot of folks. Over the past couple of decades, over the last 20 years, tuition and fees at America's colleges and universities have more than doubled. The average student who borrows to pay for college now graduates with about $26,000 in student loan debt. And living with that kind of debt means you've got to make tough choices, especially when you're first starting out. It may mean putting off starting a family or buying a home. It may mean you don't have enough savings to try to start that new business idea that you've got. When a big chunk of each paycheck goes just towards servicing your loan debt, that's not just tough for middle-class families that are trying to make it. It's also not good for the economy because it means you're not spending that money with local businesses. And I want you to understand, I speak from experience here. Come on! I know about this firsthand. We didn't come from wealthy families. My mom was a single mom. Michelle's dad was a blue-collar worker. Her mom was a secretary. Michelle's parents never went to college. Both of us graduated from college and law school with a mountain of debt. So when we got married, we pooled our liabilities, not our assets. We got poorer, not richer. In fact, we paid more for our student loans than we paid on our mortgage each month when we finally were able to afford to buy a condo. And then once we had Malia and Sasha, now we're supposed to be saving for their college education. But we're still paying off for our college education. And look, we were luckier than most. We had landed good jobs, steady incomes. Even with that, though, we only finished paying off our student loans about 8 years ago. Well, think about that.
Oh my God.
I became president. About 7 years ago. So I had been working, and Michelle had been working for over a decade before we got all our loans paid off. But here's the thing. I'm only standing here before you today because of the chance that education gave me. So I think I can speak with some experience in saying making higher education more affordable for young people is something I got a personal stake in. It's not something I believe in abstractly. It's something Michelle has a personal stake in. We believe in it because we've been in your shoes. We know what it's like. So as we provide those rungs on the ladder of opportunity, then young people, many of whom are more talented than Michelle and I, may not get a shot. And that's why I've made this one of the top priorities of my presidency. It's part of what's at stake in this election. When all of you walk into that voting booth in November, you're going to have a choice. And part of it is the choice of how we treat education in this country. And I say this because putting a college education within reach for working families does not seem to be a priority that my opponent shares. A few months ago, Governor Romney told a crowd of young people, just like you, that if you want to be successful, if you want to go to college or you want to start a business, then you can just, and I'm quoting here, borrow money if you have to from your parents.
I don't come from a trust fund.
Your parents have a whole bunch of money to lend you?
No! I don't need
My parents did have a lot of money to lend me. I bet a bunch of your parents don't have a lot of money to lend. It's not because they don't want to. They don't have it. When a high school student asked Governor Romney what he would do to make college more affordable for families, Governor Romney didn't say anything about grants or loan programs that have helped millions of students earn a college education. He didn't say anything about work-study programs or rising college tuition. He did not say a single word about community colleges or how important higher education is to America's economic future. Here's what he said. The best thing I can do for you is to tell you to shop around.
Wow!
Shop around. So this is his plan. That's his answer to a young person hoping to go to college. Shop around and borrow money from your parents if you have to.
What about you?
That's not an answer. That's not even, not only is it not a good answer, it's not even an answer. There is nothing a parent wants to do more than to give their kids opportunities that we never had. There are very few things so painful than a parent not being able to do it. But we're still fighting back from the worst economic crisis in our lifetimes. There are a lot of parents out there who are working really hard but still struggling to make ends meet. And I do not accept the notion that we should deny their children the opportunity of a higher education and a brighter future just because their families were hard hit by a recession. Think about all the discoveries, all the businesses, all the breakthroughs that we wouldn't have had if we had told every American that wanted to go to college, "Stuff what? Too bad. You're on your own. Shop around." This country has always made a commitment to put a good education within the reach of all who are willing to work for it. That's part of what made us an economic superpower. That's what kept us at the forefront of business and science and technology and medicine. And this is not just a new commitment we've made. My grandfather had the chance to go to college because after fighting on behalf of America in World War II, he came back to a country that decided, you know what, we're going to make sure every veteran should be able to afford college. My mother was able to raise me and my sister by herself and go to college because she was able to get grants and work her way through school. Michelle and I would not be here without the help of scholarships and student loans. We are only here because the chance our education gave us, and I want every young person to have that chance. Now, and listen, government can't help folks who won't help themselves.
Yeah.
You know, parents have to parent. Young people have to stay disciplined and focused. But if you're willing to work hard, a college education in the 21st century should be available to everybody, not just the wealthy few. Whether it's a 4-year education, a 2-year program, higher education is not a luxury, it is a necessity. American families should be able to afford it. That's what's at stake in this election. That's one of the reasons I'm running for president.
That's the rich.
And I want you to understand, I'm not just talking the talk. I'm not just making promises. Since I took office, we've helped over 3 million more students afford a college education with grants. Now, unfortunately, the economic plan of Governor Romney could cut our investments in education by about 20%. That we've used, that Alejandro may be taking advantage of, many of you may be taking advantage of, those grants could be cut so deeply that 1 million of the students who have been helped would no longer get scholarships. It would cut financial aid for nearly 10 million students a year. And here's the worst part. They're not making these cuts to reduce the deficit. They're not making these cuts so they can create more jobs. They're doing it to pay for a new $5 trillion tax cut weighted toward the wealthiest Americans. Does that sound like a plan for a better future for you?
No!
It's a plan that says we can't afford to help the next generation, but we can afford massive new tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires.
No!
Our young people's student loans, because we've got to protect corporate tax loopholes.
No!
A vision that says we can't help young people who are trying to make it because we've got to protect folks who already have made it. That's not a vision we have to accept.
No!
You know, Governor Romney likes to talk about his time as an investor as one of the bases for his candidacy. But his economic plan makes clear he doesn't think your future is worth investing in.
Right.
And I do. That's
Yeah!
the statement of the right.